Thanks again for joining us and having this space with us. Let's go. Okay. So the first question, Jordan, is your best definition of activism?
So activism for me is such a wide and broad term that encompasses so many different things. But I guess in terms of if I was to give it a definition, I was thinking about this over the last week or two, and I couldn't think of a kind of succinct way better than saying activism to me. So I guess my definition of activism is the intentional motive of trying to highlight an issue, be it physically or non-physically, for the betterment of a group of people. So the reason why I say physically or non-physically is because, I mean, the obvious kind of, I suppose, connotation to activists are people that hit the streets and have placards and, you know, take out a lot of their time to really have a physical presence outside an embassy or outside a building or somewhere where they want to make their presence and their voice heard against something that they see as an injustice. But activism to me isn't just about the physicalness of being somewhere and being visible. Activism to me is also about a mindset and how you think about a particular subject or an issue. Activism for me encompasses parenting, you know, and the subtleties of what you teach your son or your daughter about a particular issue and what is right and wrong. That for me is, I think, the centerpiece of what activism is. It's about identifying what is right and what is wrong. And as I say, physically or non-physically, this is very long now, physically or non-physically, making your presence known that there's something that you're not happy about and you want to raise awareness or noise around that to eventually form tangible change. So that's a very, very long definition, but I guess in a more succinct way, it to me is an intentional, that's a very key word as well. It's an intentional way, be it physical or non-physical, to draw attention to something that you see as wrong.
I like it. I like that you mentioned, you know, the most simplest things there. So you mentioned about teaching your children, for example. So are you, like you're saying, that it's basically a lifestyle. It's not, you know, being afraid to call out when something is not right and just speaking your voice and saying your piece. So definitely, I like that. Thank you, Jordan.
That's what to add to that. That can also be, again, some small, if you like, microaggressions at work and just kind of checking your white colleagues at work. Do you know what I mean? About jokes or comments or things they may say, which actually on the surface are actually quite harmless. And it's like, okay, it's not that bad, get over it. But there's part of a wider mindset that somebody has about a particular group of people or a particular subject. And if you nip it in the bud early and check that, say, no, we don't talk about people's clothing like that. Or no, we don't talk about people's food like that. Those small things might seem like, oh, why is Jordan getting all emotional and all, you know, heated up about it? It's like, well, no, it's because it's part of a wider mindset. If someone has a particular viewpoint on a subject or a group of people, it is something as inverted commas small as the way something people eat or the way people think. What else are they thinking? How else are they wired, and on a more wider and macro level? So I think it can be beating the streets and hitting the streets and having a physical presence that this issue is I'm passionate about and I want to be here. I went on my first march last year. I went on 3 or 4 during Black Lives Matter across London. And people, and I always used to say, you know, what use is marching on the streets? You know what I mean? You're just doing it to show that you're there and it makes you feel good. And it's like, well, that might be true, but I felt emboldened enough that something had happened and it had got to a precipice whereby I felt that my presence amongst my people in saying we're not accepting this anymore needed to be had. And I don't know, no one noticed I was there. But that's not important. What's important is I felt that I could physically be part of a movement that hopefully would change things for my people for the better. But that isn't the only way of being an activist. It can be things that you write. I think certain writers are activists in their writing work. Certain journalists, for me, are activists in their writing work. So I think it comes in many, many forms.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a broad scale and doesn't deserve to be boxed or restricted at all. And the fact that you say that you went to the march last year, that was obviously a conscious decision that you made of your own self, something that you wanted to do to be a part of that unity that was out there on the streets. So, thanks for sharing that.
So to what extent would you say that your life has been guided so far by your definition of activism, in a conscious way, sometimes even subliminally, really, to where you find yourself now?
I don't think it has, this is another question I thought was a really good question. And I don't think my life has been shaped by any form of activism. I think my life has been shaped by the pursuit of trying to be happy and making those around me and my people happy in any way that I can. And I think that lends itself to a lot of the work I'm doing with Blaktivism, because I'm trying to give Black people that don't normally get a platform or their voices heard a chance to have their voice heard. There's this thing that's happening amongst Black people that I don't really like, and I was partly part of the problem previously, in that if you don't agree with my type of politics, they're not Black. Or if you're someone that believes that you can't marry interracially, you're not really Black. And it's like, well, no, okay, so Kwasi Kwarteng, the Conservative MP, I have no time for his politics. I have no time for him. I don't think he's for the betterment of Black people in the way that I see it. I think that his way is an agenda that doesn't suit Black people, in my opinion. But he's still a Black man. He's still a Black man, whatever his politics are, and even no matter how dangerous his politics are, he's still a Black man. Just because me and you disagree on certain things, that doesn't mean that you're not a Black person. And my thing has always been to try and do the best for Black people, no matter what your outlook is. Now, if your outlook on certain things is different to mine, me and you can't roll. Me and you can't hang out. We can't rave. We can't go for dinner. We can't phone and WhatsApp. We're not friends like that. But I still acknowledge you as a Black person. That is still a Black man. That's still a Black woman. There's some people on television and online programs that I can't stand when they talk, and I know I purposely block myself off from those people, but they're still Black people. And I think what I try to do is try to do the best for Black people as I see it. But you may disagree. You may think that Blaktivism actually is harmful to Black people. And you're entitled to have that view. So I don't think my life has ever been shaped by activism, but I think my life has always been shaped by trying to make myself happy. I'm a big believer in do what makes you happy, because you can't make other people happy until you make yourself happy, is my belief anyway. And then secondly, what can you do to make other people just have a better life in any kind of small way? And I've recognized in the last, I think, year that my gift is my big mouth. I'm very confident. I'm a confident young man. I will take on anybody. I will say my piece. And if I'm wrong, I will stand corrected and apologize. But until I'm proven wrong, I'm not backing down on nothing. Until you prove me wrong, I'm not having it. And I've realized that my big mouth, I can use my big mouth to amplify some of the views and feelings and experiences of other people, even non-Black, that maybe don't have the big mouth that I have or the confidence that I have. I can use my mouth to speak for those kinds of people. And that's what I try to do. Whether it's issues of racism within sport, whether it's issues of racism towards Black women, whether it's issues of racism towards young people, no matter what it may be, I've realized I don't have many gifts in life, but one gift I do have is I'm confident. And confidence is a massive gift to have, If you are confident, it can sometimes be your downfall. And trust me, on certain times, it has been my downfall. When you talk a bit too much, sometimes you get a bit too loud. But generally, confidence is a really, really powerful tool to have. And I try to use my confidence which in turn comes out as my big mouth, to the betterment of myself and other people. So I don't think, to answer the question again, I don't think activism ever shaped my life. But I do think that what has shaped my life is just a constant need to make people happy. I played basketball professionally for how many years? I'm trying to entertain people. I DJ'd for 6-7 years internationally. I'm trying to entertain people. I write creatively. I'm a journalist. I'm trying to engage people in a way. So everything I've kind of done in my life has been pretty much in the pursuit of how can I make other people feel good?
Okay, so the next question is, to your understanding, how important is activism to the nation-building agenda of the Black community?
Yikes. I think it's very important because I think that if we are to change this country to work for us, then activism is going to play a massive role in that happening. Let me go one step further back. I think before we even get that far, I think as Black people, and I constantly talk about this, I think, against my opinion, we have to, and I think we're at a point now where Black Britons have to work out whether we want to stay here and change this country to work for us. So that if we're going to be here, I want to be happy and comfortable and have chances to be successful and happy like everybody else. Or are we eventually looking to uproot and go back home? And I'm not one of these people that believes that going back home to the continent and to the Caribbean even is some utopia. There are problems with that option as well. I'm not naive to think that, you know, going back to Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica, Guyana, wherever it may be, is some kind of heaven and everything's perfect and there's no issues there. No. There's a different kind of issue. But my thinking with that is, there's issues everywhere. There's crap everywhere. But do you want to handle the crap here or do you want to handle their crap? That's the choice we have. After you decide if you would want to stay here. So I think if we're deciding that we want to stay here, activism for me is something that's going to play a big role in ensuring that we as Black Britons can change and shape, if it's possible, to change and shape this country to work for us. Right now, this country doesn't really work for us. It works for some Black people, but not for enough Black people, I would say. Now, I'm one of these people that gets a bit bored of hearing. I get a bit bored of hearing Black people telling their sad stories about when I was at school, when I was a Black girl, people used to pick on me because my hair was different to the white girl's hair. Or when I was at college and I was a Black boy, people used to laugh at me because my lips were big. Those are experiences I think that we can all relate to, we all understand, we all feel, and they're not to be considered invalid, not at all. But my thing is, at what point do we stop telling our sad stories, as valid as they are and as important as they are, and actually focus more on, okay, so what now? So what now? How do we ensure that we can have an economic, cultural, and societal structure in this country that enables us to have the chance to be billionaires, that enables us to have the chance to own our own homes? That would be a nice start, just owning our own homes. So that is something where I think activism plays a role in, if we decide we're going to stay here. Because being an activist is tiring. Whether it's physical in the streets, or whether it's writing, or whether it's teachings and it's mentor, activism is very tiring. It's very, very tiring. So my thinking is, if we're going to put that much energy into trying to change this country to work for Black people in a better way, we have to decide then that we're staying here for the long haul. Because there's no point doing all that work and then deciding, boy, I don't want to be here anyway. You know what I mean? It's just too much work to then decide we don't want to be here. So I think we have to first of all work out as Black people, are we here for the long haul? Are we and our kids here for the long haul? Or is it like, you know what? We're never going to have this country to ourselves. It's never going to work for Black people. Sure, let's just go out and pack our bags and use our energy and our resources and our intelligence and our talents and our beauty and our hearts and our music and our food where it's appreciated. And let's just, that should be the long-term strategy. And even if it's not for me, I'm setting up something now maybe for my kids, so that in 30, 40 years time, they have a home and a business back in Jamaica, Ghana, wherever it may be, so they can go back there and have a foundation at the bare minimum. I don't know if I've answered your question now. I'm rambling quite a lot now. But I think what I'm trying to say is, I think if activism is going to play a big role in changing the lives of Britons in this country, we have to first of all decide, are we even here for the long haul?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Are you here for the long haul?
No. No, I'm not. I've decided I'm not.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next question. So, why do you think the word activism has received a bad press? historically, and I'd say even in contemporary society as well.
Because it's mainly black people doing the activism. And that's not to say that only black people are activists. You have people that are activists for women's rights. You have people who are activists for disability rights. You have activists for people, gay rights. You have there are many other types of activists. But I think if you look at the last 60, 70 years, activism generally permeates itself around black people, whether it's here, whether it's in the States, whether it's on the continent. It's normally associated with black people. And I think that the reason why activism maybe now has got a kind of dirty stench around it is I think a lot of white people now are fed up of hearing black people wanting fairness. What's happened, I called this a long time ago, and it's happening now. A year and a half ago, when the Black Lives Matter thing first blew up post George Floyd, and a lot of the kind of allies, if you like, that were supporting black people and saying, you know what, yeah, this is I was going to swear then, this is a madness, this is wrong, we need to stand by black people, our black colleagues, our black neighbours, our black friends, our black husbands, our black wives, whatever it may be. We've got to stand by these black people. Yeah, we've got to stand by them. Black Lives Matter. There was a lot of vim at the start. And my concern then, and I'm seeing it slowly happening now, is I said 18 months ago what's going to happen is they'll get to a point where people would hear Black Lives Matter and the eyes would roll from certain white people. Like, all right, you had your year. You had your few. We gave you a few little protests. We gave you a few little adverts on TV. We appointed a few black people to a few boards. We heard you, but let's allow it now, innit? Allow it. Like, come on, you've had your moment, allow it. And that is what I'm slowly seeing happening now. It was very, very, yeah, we're with you. There was a lot of energy at first, but now they're bored of it. And I think that because activism generally I see, and definitely in the last, the two biggest forms of activism, I would say, in the last 18 months have been for black people trying to get work out and better justice, and climate change people. And I think what's happening with black people is, or what's happening with activists is, because in the last year, activism has been attached more so to black people than anybody else. I think that is now starting to grate on certain people. And that's why it's just like, oh, we hear you. Yeah, we get it. Black Lives Matter, but can we move on? And it's like, well, no. If you get it, you would understand why we can't move on. So I think that it's just an opinion. The reason why I think the word activism has a kind of dirty stench to it is because traditionally and currently, the connotations are with black people.
Thank you for the comment.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, with so much competing for our attention, attempting to distract us, how do we sustain our commitment to activism? How do you remain focused on your goal, what you're trying to achieve, despite everything else going on outside?
I keep looking at my friends, 1, 3, 4, 6-year-olds. That's what I do. That's what keeps me motivated. And I think we have to all, even I haven't got kids, but I look at the kids that my friends and family have had in the last 5 years, and I think that they deserve better. And so I think it's incumbent on me and the two of you ladies to ensure that when they turn 10, 15, 18, 21, the world that they're going to be entering, the working world, the college world, wherever it may be, is one that enables them to have a better chance of succeeding than we did. Now, many of us succeeded, but we didn't have an equal chance of succeeding. We had to do more to kind of get to where we've got to. Our job now is to make sure that those 1, 2, 5, 10-year-olds don't have to go through that. And that's what kind of keeps me motivated to do better. Blaktivism was set up for many reasons, but one of the reasons why it was set up was because at the time I set it up, one of my best friends just had a child. And it kind of just dawned on me, like, what would it be like for a black child to enter the world today. This was 3 years ago. And I thought, I would love Blakademic to look like the world, media world, that I want it to look like. So I want my friend's daughter to see black people on screen. Bald head, dreads, weave, flat top, wig, everything. Anything that black people come in their head. I wanted his daughter to see black people talking about issues that were important. There's a whole heap of foolishness on TV and online. Some of it I watch, makes me laugh, serves its purpose for half an hour. But while I consume that, I can never make that sort of content. I want to make content that my friends' kids can watch and see themselves. I don't know if I mentioned the last time I was on your last kind of panel discussion, Amelitha, but one of the things I do now I'm very conscious of, and I'm at Channel 4 News, 9 times out of 10, when I'm on screen, I let my locks out. I take my locks out. I wasn't doing it until about 2 years ago, but I purposely take my locks out. And the reason why I do that is I want black kids to see a black man presenting the news or live from Wembley or Twickenham or Lord's Cricket, where I might be, and be like, rah, my dad's got dreads, or my uncle's got dreads, or my friend at school's got dreads, and there's a guy presenting the news dreadlocks, and it to be normal. It's just normal. When I come off, the camera goes out, I type up again, and I'm going out of business. But when I'm on screen, for me, it's really important that people see people that look like their mum and look like their dad and look like their auntie and their uncle. Because when I even to this day, I get messages on Facebook and I get texts, I get screen grabs of friends of mine that one of their friends said, who's this dread on Channel 4 News? I'm like, ask my friend Jordan. So even now it's still a shock amongst our people. We've got to stop that. We've got to make it normal that black girls can be presenting the news and they can have a wig and they can have a weave, whatever they want. They can be bald and it's not a thing. So I wanted Blakademic to be that thing. I want young black boys and girls to see intelligent, progressive, mature, outwardly looking, and even politically opposed black people discussing things that are important to our culture, and it just to be normal. So that's really, really important to me. So sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. To go back to the question, the reason why it's important to me that black kids see a chance to be successful and happy, and what motivates me in the work that I do is just looking at the youngers and saying, you know what, we are dope. We are culturally rich. We are culturally and lovingly rich. We have so much to offer. I want you guys to go out there and just give it to the world and not be blocked, because we know the blockages that are out there. So my short answer to that question, so I've rambled again. I look at the youth and I'm like, I want you guys to win. I want you guys to take my job. I want you guys to do better than me. And that is what motivates me to keep doing I say activism with a small a, the activism that I do.
I think that's a beautiful message, especially for our young ones. There's definitely not enough of us in our diverse range on the screen. So the fact that you do that is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
What do you feel, Jordan, is one form of activism, and that's fairly simple for the people to actually be able to participate in, that people can do, that people can actually engage in?
So two small ones. One is, and they're both centered around young people, because my whole thing around trying to change the world is to focus on the young people. There's a lot of talk around the taking of the knee in football at the moment, and people say, we've got to educate these people. People that are booing it. We've got to educate these people, educate them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with educated. If some 56-year-old white man is booing the knee and booing Rhyme Sterling, he doesn't want to be educated. I ain't got time for him. He ain't changing his mind. He thinks what he thinks about black people. I ain't got time for him. I'm trying to figure out the work with the 6-year-old and the 5-year-old and the 10-year-old. So my first thing would be to just listen and engage and talk with the young people more. Just talk with them. What's on your mind? What are your dreams? What are your ambitions? What do you want to do? How can I help you be better? And it might not be anything tangible, but just some kids just want to talk. Some kids just want to just talk. Just let them just to be heard. Just let them talk. How was your day today? What do you want to do when you're older? Who are your role models? Who are the, you know what I mean? Why are you wearing that? Just whatever it may be, just talk to them. Which is linked to probably my main thing, which would be, I think more and more of us should be going into schools and doing talks in schools. I was at Harris Academy in Peckham, down the road, a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine, Andre Ferguson, got to shout him out. He invited me as part of his kind of movement to come and talk to the boys. It was just for the boys about how to be better, basically. And it was just a simple talk. I mean, it was a whole year group, I think. It was me and two other speakers, two other black men, and they broke up the year into groups of like 12 to 15 groups, which rotated amongst them. And I've been doing that for now like 6-7 years. It was my first time in a school talking to school kids since the pandemic, and I love it. One, selfishly, I love it, so I get a buzz out of it. But putting my ego to one side, I think is important work. I think it's important work that we talk to young people. I did an Instagram post yesterday where I posted some pictures around it, and people were like, just like, you know, praising me and saying, well done. I was like, thank you very much. But what I'd appreciate more is if all of you people that are liking this picture and commenting on this picture, on these pictures, is to just take out 1 hour a month to go to your local school and talk to young people. Everybody's busy. We've got families, we've got multiple jobs, some of us, businesses. You know, the pandemic has really had an impact on life, full stop. I get it. But I think if we start investing more in young people from early, you don't get Boris Johnsons, you don't get Vladimir Putin's, you don't get Donald Trump, you don't get these horrible men that end up ruling the world and making it horrible for all of us. You're more likely to get men and women that are outwardly looking, caring, empathetic, and understanding. Do you know what I mean? I think if we invest more in the young people when they're younger, rather than trying to educate them when they're 56, for me, that is the form of activism that I'm interested in doing, and that's something that I would implore everyone else to look into as well.
Brilliant.
Jordan, if you can complete the statement. Mm-hmm. My activism is inspired by
my humanity. My humanity. Do you want more than that, or did you want just a word?
It can be just, if you want to add, that's fine.
So expand on that. My activism is what sentence? My activism is
inspired by
my humanity, and what I mean by that is, I'm not trying to sound all worthy and pithy, but I do what I do, as I said earlier on, to just try and help other people. I'm a people pleaser. I'm a helper. I like to help people. So the activism that I do, I like to have an impact on people's lives, and it might mean giving them a job. It might mean working out what they want to do with their lives and career advice. It might be listening to them because they're having a really crappy time at home. It might be one of my brethren and just talking to them about the issues that he or she's having with his or her partner, and trying to just. I don't always have the answers. I'm not the most intelligent person, but sometimes just listening is actually better than offering an answer sometimes. So just caring for other people in my small way. My activism is inspired by just wanting to see everyone else happy. And that goes beyond black people. That goes beyond black people. I think there's this idea that because black people have been done wrong for so long, we all hate white people. It's like, I ain't got time to hate white people. I'm trying to just make me happy and bring everyone along with me. Black, white, young, old. If you want to be better, jump on my train. Do you know what I mean? And let's try and do this together. But ultimately, it's inspired by the wanting to just see everybody happy. I'm happy. I have mental strength. I have confidence. I have great parents, great grandparents. I have a great brother, great friends, great job. I'm happy. I'm nice. I have £2 in my pocket and I've got some juice in my fridge. I'm good. So all I want to make sure is that everybody else has, do you know what I mean? Even half of that. So that's kind of where my activism is inspired and where it kind of comes from.